In this video, we're going to walk through an overview of the new seating chart tool in D2L. Version 9.4 of D2L has added a tool called the seating chart, which allows you to record participation and interaction in a class. And it works well for an online class and a traditional class. So to begin using the tool, you need to set up where your class is meeting. You need to set up what's called a location. And we'll walk through the steps of setting a location up in a different video. Additionally, you need to set up events, which are pretty straightforward. However, if you use the calendar tool in D2L and you build your class schedule with a calendar, all those will just automatically flow over to the seating chart tool. So that's what I've done in this class. I've used the calendar tool to create my class meetings, and then they all show up here. So I've used this tool a few times already. And what you're going to do, we'll pretend for a moment that it's September 1st and we're about time to meet for class. So what I can do is click on this event and I'll be brought into the seating chart tool for that particular day, or that event is what D2L calls it. So you can see I have my students laid out in this chart. Each room has a different layout, and we're going to need to create the rooms for the entire organization. So once we upgrade to version 9.4 in the first few days, we'll be adding rooms around campus, and then you can add those seating charts for those rooms. The seating charts or seating arrangements in those rooms are not set in stone. You can change them, but to have a default template to work from, we need to create those for you. So we'll do that. And so when we're looking at the seating chart here, you can arrange the students any way you want. You can actually drag and drop them around the seating chart. Or what you can do, I see a lot of instructors, I imagine a lot of instructors will be doing this, is having the students come into class for the first day, seeing where they sit, and then maybe by the end of that first week, assigning students in D2L to where the students are sitting in class. I also imagine some instructors are not going to want to deal with arranging students where they sit in class, so they might actually arrange them by alphabetical order. So it's very flexible, however you want to use it. So the first thing you're going to want to do once you have your seating chart, your location, and the arrangement of the students in the chart set up, for that particular day, for that class meeting, you're going to want to take attendance. So you can click on each student and mark whether they're present or not, or what I think is easier is at the top, under More Actions, you can set all students as present. And then if there's a student or two who are missing, you can go ahead and click on that student and edit their attendance and mark whether they're unexcused or excused. If you haven't marked your students as present, you won't be able to interact with them with this tool. So once they're present, then D2L will allow you to give them participation points. So the first thing that we would do is start class. Perhaps there's going to be a class discussion, and then as students are participating, we can go ahead and click on their names and then assign them participation points. These participation points are just numeric numbers. It's sort of arbitrary. You're going to decide what the weight of 1 or 2 points is worth. You can actually go negative as well. So perhaps if a student is not paying attention or is not participating at all, you can choose to go negative. Otherwise, you can just leave it at 0, or if they are participating, you can increase their number accordingly. So you basically are going to choose what these numbers are worth, and the numbers will have value once there's some sum totals relative to other students. So as long as you stay consistent, these numbers will have value. So for that day, perhaps William participated quite a bit, so I will give him 4 participation points. You can also leave comments for the student as well. So I can click Add Comment and say, William added a lot to the discussion today, and click Add. And when I'm done, I can click Close. Now, there's a couple different ways I see instructors using this tool, as the class is going on, as students are participating, sort of dynamically clicking on students as they participate, or perhaps at the end of the class period, once you get back to your office, you're going to load up this tool and then just from memory go right down the list and say, okay, today Ayn participated, but she just might have answered a question here or there, so I'll give her 1 participation point. And then you can go to the next student. We already did William. We can go to the next. So today, Nietzsche, yes, he participated a fair amount. And you can go through the students and assign them participation points. Another option of this tool is called a cold call. So D2L cold call basically means you called on a student in class to engage them. So perhaps the class discussion is slowing down and you want to engage Renee. You can click on Renee and cold call them. So this is just letting you know and letting D2L know that you've called on that student, and then perhaps if they engage back, you would give them participation points. So here we can do that. Or, if you called on them and they just, I don't know, sort of response, you can just leave it at 0. D2L keeps track of the cold calls, and you can see which students have been cold called the most on a different screen. And you can read the manual, and it talks a little bit about just allowing you to track this so it's fair across the class, so you're not always cold calling the same students. I'm not so sure how much value that's going to have to instructors, because I think you probably know who you're calling on, but that option's there. So I'm going to go through and just give a couple more participation points here to a few more students. And when you're done, if you want these values, these participation points and cold call points to be added into the system, what we need to do is click on Set Session as Complete. So once we do that and we close, we'll see that here's this session or this event, and there's the total participation points, and it's marked as complete. And we'll see over here the overall statistics have increased. So the total participation points is 99. Again, this value isn't, this number doesn't really have a whole lot of value on its own. But once we view like a student, we can see how they relate to the overall participation points in the entire class. So by default, when we're looking at the students here, we can click on a student, and we can see that participation over all the class sessions. So this is kind of nice to see that over all these class sessions, Spinoza has participated quite a bit. And then we can see any qualitative feedback we've left and which event or session it was attributed to. So we can see right here that Spinoza has 23 participation points for the semester. If I go back, 23 out of 99 is a fair percentage. So that's when these numbers become valuable, when you look at them relative to others. So another thing we can do is sort by participation, which is useful. So I can see Spinoza and William James and Ayn are participating more than other students. And we can get down here and click Load More to bring up some other students who may not be participating much. I can go ahead and click on Arthur here, and I can see all of his absences. These are excused absences, and this is an unexcused absence. So not only is Arthur not attending class regularly, he's not participating when he is in class. So I can see his overall attendance is only 50%. So that's what the seating chart tool allows you to do. It allows you to lay your students out in a sort of virtual classroom and then interact with them, assigning them participation points, and then at the end of the semester you can look at these participation points and make decisions based on what kind of value these students are adding to your class. This tool does not integrate directly with the gradebook. So if you wanted to grade your students at the end of the class, you would probably sort by participation, and then if you had a 10 point grade item called participation. If Spinoza's at the top, perhaps they would get 10 out of 10, and perhaps William would get 10 out of 10, and Ein would get, I don't know, 6 out of 10 based on these numbers. You can export these and do some calculations on your own if you'd like.